Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is T, and this is Who's Tea TV. And tonight we're going to figure out whose tea is it really? Is it mine's? Is it yours? Is it theirs? Or is it ours as a collective? Tonight, the flavor is curiosity. Yes, I chose curiosity because we as a people can be triggered by the smallest minute thing that piques our curiosity like way up there, and we try to figure out what went wrong or what was this or what was that, and eventually we have to get an answer. So I don't know if that's a new novelty or what, but it is what it is. Now let's get into it. So, as a child, we were planting seeds and we didn't know it. If you take a regular seed out of a pack, that seed can go at least 20 feet deep with roots. Now, when you think about roots, what do you think of? Your ancestors. So, let's get into this. So, if you think about your ancestors, you think of different habits and traits that they may have had. Do you look like them? Do you think like them? Do you smile like them? Do you walk like them? Do you have different hereditary traits like them, such as diabetes, arthritis, autoimmune disorders, mental illness, which is a major one in today's society? Those things come by generation. Those things can come generation to generation. It just depends. But how do you get the answer to your questions that you're curious about? Well, A, you can order an ancestry DNA kit, as I did. B, once you get the ancestry DNA kit, you may decipher whether or not you want to go through with it or not. So, with anything that you purchase, there are pros and cons. So, a pro is you'll find the answers to different diseases that may be affecting your family currently. It can be cancer, it can be the autoimmune disease, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, just to name a few. We can even add, along with mental health, alcoholism, drug addiction. Those things don't just show up, contrary to what people do believe. Another pro could be that the sample of the DNA that you're giving, you are not getting a needle to the arm, which is a plus. You are doing a saliva test, so that may include a little sample of saliva in a tube, and you're going to send it back for it to be tested. Now, another pro is that you can find out things that maybe you didn't know before from, a census, because they do offer census material. Now, with each level, you do have to pay a little bit more, but you don't have to go above and beyond. Say you just want to know your background, what your ethnicity is, which is one of the things I wanted to know because I wasn't sure. I've heard stories of certain family members being the milkman's baby, so anything could be possible. Um, the DNA is a amazing thing. So anything is possible. And it goes back to the seed. You know how deep the roots go, at least 20 feet deep. So just imagine how deep that DNA goes that runs through your body. So I think about the cons and I'm thinking, well, there are cons. And the first thing that come to mind is privacy. Well, when we think of privacy, is there really such a thing as privacy? When you are born in a hospital, a lot of people don't realize that allegedly they keep records for 25 years from the date of your birth, right in the same hospital where you were born. You could possibly pick up a phone and give them a call and say, can you help me figure out what time of day or night I was born? And they would have that information readily available, providing you sign a waiver, of course. But it would be possible for you to find out that information. And then when you think of privacy, as far as the things that I'm saying, like the CDC and all those great people, vital records, they keep track of these things. They keep track of your birth record. They keep track of your death record. They keep track of your marriage license. They keep track of divorce decrees. If you've been overseas or have had a loved one overseas that possibly died while over there, they have all that information stored in these vital records. And at one time, I'm sure everything was paper, but now in the age that we live in, things are now digital. So your information's out there. Plus, you can go online on Google or in other avenues and purchase like a $30 package, and you can get not only, if you know the person's name, that's one thing, but you can find out their address, their phone number, their nearest relatives. All these things are public information, and it's out there for anyone and everyone. So that was a con, the privacy. But however, we know these different avenues of getting information are out there. So is there really, again, such a thing as privacy? I think not. My own personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but it is what it is. Now, when I also think of this DNA thing, I I really get kind of perplexed about the idea of how we were back in the day. And I say we were because I don't know if you're like me. You know, you used to have to go outside. As a kid, you couldn't sit in a house and be in grown folks' business, so to speak. And, you know, you were told to go outside until the street light came on. Street light came on, you were back in the house. You were getting showered and ready for bed at that point. Or going in and eating dinner prior and then going back outside. And you were not just hanging around the house being on the television, or matter of fact, you didn't have a television in your bedroom. There were no cell phones. You had a landline. And I think of all those things of how they correlate with our upbringing, and it all goes back to DNA. And to be honest, you know, you want these answers, and hopefully you'll find them. I mean, I'm not sure if you will or not, and I don't want to seem like I'm giving false promises, but there's a lot to learn from DNA, and I highly suggest you take advantage of it. But anyhow, I made this big leap, and I purchased my Ancestry DNA test, and I took and looked through all the pros and cons, and, you know, I got the results. Now, I got these results, but what's my next step? I'm not sure, but stay tuned for part 2 so we can find out. This is part 2 to the flavor of curiosity. Now, I got these DNA results from Ancestry, and I'm excited. I'm seeing my ethnicity. I'm seeing all these relatives that I had no idea existed one day ago. But now that I have these results, where do I go from here? How can I place all of these puzzle pieces into a nice little fitting map of where I need to go from here? The answer is simple. I still don't know where to go from here, okay? To be honest, not long after I got the results, I started having different relatives reach out to me to know. They wanted to know how I fit into their family tree. Was it my mother's side of the family, or was it my father's side of the family? And up until now, I still have no idea with a few of them. And when I say a few, it's more like thousands of people that live in these United States, and I have no idea who they are. I could walk past them on the street and would have no clue of us being related. That's why I always taught my children to treat people the way they wanted to be treated, and to, you know, respect people. Respect people. It's very simple. And I feel like that's a core thing that we as a society no longer do. But anyhow, now that I have these results, to be honest, I have these people, different relatives reaching out to me, and they have questions, and I have no answers, and vice versa. So, where do I go from here? I'm still not sure. I really can't wrap my head around the thought of me having almost 16,000 relatives that share my DNA. You can be my relative, and I don't know. So that's why I'm coming on here to encourage people to find out more things about their heritage if they do not know. I think it's important. For all I know, my spouse could be my distant relative, because the number of 16,000 is a lot. It's actually frightening. Do I really want to know if we're related? At this point, after all this time, I don't. I just don't. Okay? It's actually frightening to me. So again, I ask, where do I go from here? I'm really not sure. Not sure at all of where we go from here. But one thing is for certain, and two things are for sure. I feel that we as a people need to stop mistreating each other. We as a people need to, lend a helping hand when needed to one another. Love thy neighbor. All the things you learned when you were growing up, it really hasn't changed. People have changed, but I think parenting has changed. When we were children, we were, disciplined, to say lightly, or even paddled in school. I turned out just fine. What makes your child any different from being a little swat to the bum when they're out of line? Is that the reason why we have so many people running around, running amok and doing things to one another? Is that the reason why no one wants to work? I mean, there's so many questions, and it all leads back to DNA to me. I just figure that we can accomplish so much as one versus everyone being separate and running amok. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that the reality is that truth and trust go hand in hand, and we don't have that right now? Do you think, excuse me, do you think that we should be able to lean in and lean on each other in time of crisis, as the people of Florida have shown us that they can do? I really would like some feedback from you, the viewer. I think the ultimate goal here is to have a fan base that believes in the same sort of beliefs that I do. And even if you don't, I still would like your feedback, because we are, and with some are now stating the rapture, and some fear it, but those who know about them don't. So I'm going to leave you with that for now. Next flavor, BBLs. I often wonder, do we not like ourselves? Do we not like ourselves due to the societal pressures of beauty being key? And then my next thought is, will beauty get you everything? My next thought, are there disadvantages to beauty? Well, after very, very much contemplation and research on the subject matter at hand, I can tell you that BBLs can cause a lot of pain, a lot of scarring, a lot of infection. Some often have allergic reactions. But what I'm really not sure of is whether people know the backstory on different ancestors that had the wide stature and the hips and the bottom that made them be ridiculed and made them out to be a freak show. So, my question to you is, have you ever read about Sarah Baartman? Baartman. She was exhibited as a freak show attraction. She was taken around Europe for people to touch and make fun of her due to her stature. So then I thought to myself, well, why are we as a people so quick to run out and change the image that we were made into? Why are we as a society so obsessed with our appearance? From fat lips to hips and bottoms. I don't understand. Your feedback is required. Let me know. I'm not sure if people realize that we were made in God's image or not. I understand that we all can't be perfect. I mean, I'm not as young as I used to be. Certain things are lacking that I used to have, but I'm not running out to pay someone hundreds of thousands of dollars to change what was designed for me. Let me know. We all heard the saying, boys will be boys, but the flavor is what the what. Can someone please tell me why Nick Cannon thinks it's acceptable to allegedly have a 10th child with another baby's mom after he just had the 9th child last week? Someone leave some information in the comments below to let me know why it's acceptable to plant your seed all over the place with multiple women and not think about the children that have to grow up in that type of environment. All jokes aside, money doesn't matter when it comes to how do you think the children are going to feel that they have to be talked about, allegedly talked about, with the whole you spreading it all over the place. Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, our next flavor is Foolery. And I said Foolery in case you didn't catch it. So, I'm not going to say a name, but I think you should be able to put two and two together. Good luck on that in case you aren't a quick study. Okay? So, anywho, do you know the saying that sometimes you have to call a spade a spade? Do you know? But in this case, I'm going to say a clown's a clown. When you're acting like a clown, you're being an entertainer. Look that up. Okay? I'm going to let that sit right there. It's for you to look up. Sometimes when you're acting like a clown, you're an entertainer. So, with that being said, the entertainment only lasts for a very, very, very small moment. Okay? But when you continue to go from flashy to trashy, it then gets to be too much. Too much for my liking and probably yours too. You let me know about that in the comments if you can catch on to what I'm about to say. So, You know the saying about the wolf, how the wolf is a flesh eating mammal, okay? They stay away from the shepherd and they hang with the sheep. They feed off the flock. Mm-hmm. You following? You catching this? They feed off the flock and they do not have to fight because they pick at easy prey. So, when you are, rushing around here, you're giving this person notoriety when they're supposed to be the shepherd of the flock. And you're condoning the bad behavior. It's a very bad look. You could give him his few minutes of fame now, but in the end, that won't help him. Okay? Because, again, it's the foolery. Now, I'm going to leave that there. I'm sure someone's had to pick up on it by now. Remember, the shepherd is there to protect the flock, but sometimes a wolf will be dressed in sheep's clothing. All right, stay tuned for the next flavor. They're rolling out like hotcakes. Well, that's it, guys. We made it through our first Flavorful Friday. I will try to come every Friday to give some new flavors from the week's top stories or top trending factors on Twitter or YouTube or Google, wherever I get the information from or whatever I feel that we really need to talk about. And the good news is tomorrow at 7 p.m., we will do a Dahmer review. Yes, I said Dahmer. I only got through 2 episodes. I'm hoping to get a few more in before I come and give you my commentary on the review. However, from what I've seen, is very gut-wrenching. It's very horrific. And I can't wait to share that with you tomorrow, which is Saturday, October 1st at 7 p.m. That's all for now. Toodles.